So this week's art video is going to be a resin seascape, and it's called Footprints in the Sand. Welcome back to the studio, everyone. I sure appreciate all my subscribers and everyone who's following me along on this journey. So this week, I know I've got a lot of resin seascape fans out there. I thought I'd create another seascape for you. So this one's called Footprints in the Sand. I did more of a minimal project on the seascape. I wanted it to be more serene and relaxed looking, and I painted some little footsteps in the sand. And that gave me a really good idea for another one I want to do, or at least try to do, with some real sand. So we'll see how that goes. But for now, we are going to paint Footprints in the Sand, a resin seascape. Let's get started. Today I'm working on an 11 by 14 inch birch cradlewood panel. I'm taping off the back and trimming it up, and this board has already been sealed with polyacrylic wood sealer and painted white. And now I've just chosen various acrylic paints, and I'm going to use this to create my beach and water base coat before I begin pouring resin. Be sure to check out the description below the video, and if you drop that box down and open it up, you'll find where I've listed all the supplies I've used in this video, along with some links in case you want to try any of these products for yourself. And now I'm painting the little footprints in the sand. I'm using a number 5 Master's Touch brush with an angled tip on it. And I'm just going and creating what are just abstract little footprints, and then going back and adding the little toes on them. I could probably use some work on these in the future, but it worked for now, and actually most of my footprints got covered up by the waves and the water. Be sure to level your board, and today I'm using Counterculture DIY's resin. It's a 1:1 ratio, and I'm going to pour just a clear coat over the painted beach portion. Normally I would pour a resin that has pigment in it, but since I'm doing this painted beach, I just wanted to preserve that with a clear coat of resin. So I'm going to spread it around with my hand and then torch out the bubbles with my little culinary torch, and cover it up and let it cure for 24 to 48 hours before I move on to pouring my water. Now that that layer has cured, I'm going to go ahead and mix up some more of that same resin and pour it into individual cups to mix in my pigments. And I'm using Aquamarine and Tsunami by Counterculture DIY. These are great for making seascapes. I'm also going to reserve some clear to put down as a base and some clear to put my white pigment in, as you'll see in a minute. And now I'm taking the rest of my clear resin and I'm just creating a layer of it over the ocean part of my seascape, and this will help the rest of my resin move more fluid on the surface. And now that I've poured down some of my resin with pigment in it, I'm just heating it up with my heat gun so that I can work it over the surface and blend it with my hands. My friend Patty has just come out with this new epoxy white pigment to create these amazing waves, and it's now available in her Etsy store, so I'll be sure to link that below too. A lot of people want to know what the magic is behind making these waves. And I'm telling you, there's no magic at all. It's just you want to use a really good pigment, such as Patty's brand here. There's also a few others that I use. And you'll also want to use heat. And between the two, you can create some really cool cells and wave action. And now that that layer has cured, I'm going to pour one more layer of resin, and this is just going to be a clear coat. I wanted to keep this project really simple for you, and then I'm going to add a whole lot more waves using that same pigment. I'm using the torch just to pop the bubbles before moving on and starting to create more waves. If you're not getting enough information out of this video, I have several more Seascape videos with lots of more information on mixing your resin and pouring your layers, so be sure to check those out. I'll go ahead and put a link above for you. And stay tuned till the end because I'm going to show you how I remove the tape and what this finished project looks like. This heat gun is my preferred heat source for creating those waves. I love the knob on the back because it gives you variable temperatures and it's 2 speeds. So I just gently move the waves and let it flow over my clear resin, and this is what creates the cells and that beautiful wave action that we're all looking for. Now that my piece is complete and cured, I go ahead and heat up the tape and the drips with that same heat gun, and it pulls right off, leaving you a clean surface to work with. I'm going to go ahead and frame this one in a shadow box, but I love the way the water's rolling up on the beach. I like the foamy action in my white pigment and the cells and lacing. I wish that you could see it in person because it really doesn't do it justice, but there's some sparkle in the sea and you can really see through those layers. But until next time, I hope you've enjoyed this, and if you haven't already, I'd sure love it if you'd hit that subscribe button And if you ring that little notification bell, you'll know when my next video is launched. Happy creating, everyone. Have an amazing week.